methodological naturalism, simply stated, is a safe space for skeptical scholars and scientists where they can hide from serious consideration from solutions that involve supernatural or God. You know, those trigger words for them because it makes them uncomfortable. Second, Matt goes by methodological naturalism to say that science, we are bound, or barred, I should say, from investigating the supernatural. That's bunk. We are not barred. Now, a lot of scientists tie their hands behind their back. That's called methodological naturalism, where they're not allowed to consider the supernatural. But let me tell you, methodological naturalism, simply stated, is a safe space for skeptical scholars and scientists where they can hide from serious consideration from solutions that involve supernatural or God. You know, those trigger words for them because it makes them uncomfortable. That's what methodological naturalism is. And it fails, and here's why. Let's suppose that astronomers have been watching a comet for years, and all of a sudden they do some calculations. They say, this comet is going to slam into the moon's surface tomorrow. And so the next day, you have the Hubble Space Telescope and all these planetariums that are zoomed in on the lunar surface, and they watch, boom, as the impact happens. And as the lunar dust settles, there's a message embedded on the lunar surface that says God exists, and it's in Greek and Hebrew. Well, according to methodological naturalism, a scientist couldn't even affirm that the event had occurred. It would certainly be a supernatural event, and because of that, they couldn't even affirm that the event had occurred. Well, of course you could affirm the event occurred. Maybe you can't confirm as a scientist that God is the one behind it, but you could say this miraculous event occurred and leave the cause undetermined. That's why methodological naturalism fails. It actually, in the end, it could actually serve to be a science stopper. He said, you can't test whether you saw your dead grandmother. Well, I gave an example of that near-death experience where, in some cases, you actually can. He says, Ehrman comes up with the definition of miracle as the least probable explanation. Ehrman is just simply wrong here. Listen, in my doctoral research, I found 23 definitions for miracle. In fact, 2 of them are Ehrman's, different ones that he gives. If miracles are the least probable explanation, really? Well, so what if I were beheaded here on stage by some terrorists and they fled, leaving my headless corpse here on the stage? And then you all leave the auditorium, an hour later you're outside of the auditorium and you're talking to the police and media, and I come walking out of the auditorium, head attached, smiling, scars on my neck. I said, I've been to heaven. And God brought me back in order to verify the truth of Jesus' gospel message. And by the way, Matt, while I was up there, I talked to this relative of yours that died 10 years ago, and they shared with me a private conversation that only you and that relative had, I could not have possibly known. So is a miracle the least probable explanation? And since historians must choose the most probable, we'd have to say anything, even group hallucination, is more probable? No, that's methodological naturalism. That's the safe space for skeptics.